The tax rate table that you see on the screen is a great example of using a formula called VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. What it does is it analyzes the data in the table, it compares it to an adjusted gross salary, and then it pulls from the table the correct percentage of the tax rate. So if you have data that you need to pull from a range of information based on the value in the leftmost column, your vertical lookup is a very quick and easy formula to use. Let's take it apart and show you how it works. I have 4 examples on the left side, and if I click on cell B2, we can see that I use my vertical lookup. Before I describe it, I'd like to look down here at this cell here to have you notice how it works. We start out with VLOOKUP, and then the next parameter, the first one within the bracket, is the value. That's the number I'm looking for. The second is the range. That's the entire table, except for the headers. The third is the column within the table. That is the column that I want the data to pop back into the cell. That will be my percentages. And the last column is called range lookup, which is either true or false. If you leave that blank, it will automatically default to true. And I'll show you the difference in a moment about what that means. So I'm going to look back at my cell here. We're doing VLOOKUP in cell B2, and the data we're looking for is in cell B1, as you see in the formula bar. It's my 32,000. And then the range here is D3 through F9. It's my entire table without the headers. And then the column that I want the matching information to show in this particular cell is column 3 within the table. That's not column 3 on my spreadsheet, but column 3 within that range. And I left the last parameter blank. It automatically defaults to true. Now when it defaults to true, it means what I'm looking for in the first column doesn't have to match exactly. It has to be equal to or greater than the number in cell B1 in this particular case. So I apply the formula here, and it tells me I have a 15% tax liability for this. Now in this particular case, I've added the dollar signs to the reference for the table because I copied the formula down. You don't need them normally, but if you're going to copy the formula as I did, you need to turn this to absolute referencing. If we look at the second example, I did not use the dollar signs. I just rewrote the formula. And again, it looks at cell B5, and then it looks at the range of D3 to F9, again, same range. And then it looks at column 3, and I left off the last parameter again because I want an approximate match, not an exact match in column D. Let's do one from scratch at $400,000. Now to do that, I put equal, and then I'll type in lookup, or VLOOKUP, sorry. Left bracket, and then I'll click on cell B9, which will give me the value I'm looking for, comma. Then I can do the range, so I click on these cells. It happens to be my tax rate table, hit comma. And then the last thing I put in is 3, which is my third column within the table. Close the bracket, hit enter, and 400,000 is in the 33% range. Let's prove that it works. I will change that to 415,000 and hit enter, and it jumped up to the 35% range. That's an excellent way to do that. Now in the last one, I've got some errors here. Let me show you what's going on here. Here, the tax bracket, I'll erase that formula. Let's do this again, only let's put in the last parameter, okay? Equal VLOOKUP, Okay, then I want my cell, which will be B13, comma, and then I'll take my table, all right, my tax rate table, comma, and then I want 3, comma. Now let's type in the word false, which means I'm looking for an exact match, and press enter. Immediately it gives me NA, not available, because when I look for an exact match, I did not find it in this first column. If I change this number to 91151, it matched this number here perfectly. But I'm looking for a range, so I don't want to use the false on the formula. So in most cases where you're looking for a range, you just leave that part out and it will work perfectly. So there's my calculated tax. Now what happens when you want an exact match? Let me show you when that does work. We have the second table over here where we're looking up an employee number. Employee number 22, let's look for 99. All right. Now we'll look up the name, equal VLOOKUP, and then we'll look up cell B3, comma. Then I tell my table that I want my range, comma, and this would be column 2. Right click, enter. Now it didn't work here. This is something you need to be aware of. When you use the VLOOKUP and you're looking in a range, which is I am, you have to have the numbers in order, sequentially in order. Now in this case, I'm not looking in a range. I want my my information to be exact. So if I put that last item in here as false, it will look exactly, and then if I'm looking for an exact match, my first column does not have to be in order. So if I hit enter here, now it found my person, because you notice these are not in order. And so if you're looking for an exact match, these don't have to be in order. If you're looking for an approximate match, as we did in this previous, these do have to be in order. So that's one difference between the two. But this is another useful one. Let's look for 321, and now it found this. So that's another way you can make this work. Again, you can take this table here, and you can format it as a table. It's called table 2. And in this formula here, I can actually, instead of the range, I can enter in table 2. And it works. So you can use the exact coordinates, or you can use the name of your range, which in my case happens to be table 2. It doesn't matter. So you can use the VLOOKUP for an exact match, which means this doesn't have to be in order, but you have to add the word false, or you can use it for an approximate match, as we do here, and you don't need to add true or false. It defaults to true, and column number 1 needs to be in order. So there are two different ways you can use VLOOKUP in Microsoft Excel.